The red dust of Mars swirled against the dome of Colony 1, but 8-year-old Doohy didn't mind. She pressed her small hands against the thick glass, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and orange. Behind her, her father Hejin checked the atmospheric readings on his tablet, a daily routine that had become as natural as breathing. "Doohy, come look at this," Hejin called, his voice gentle. He pointed to a graph showing the oxygen levels in their hydroponics bay. "See how the plants help us breathe." Doohy skipped over, her dark pigtails bouncing. Unlike many children born on Mars, she had an endless curiosity about everything around her. "Dad, why is the line going up and down?" "That's how the plants breathe, just like us. They take in bad air and give us good air." Hejin smiled, remembering how his wife Jinna always said their daughter had inherited his scientific mind. The colony's warning system suddenly flashed green, the color for non-emergency alerts. Hejin's tablet buzzed with a message from Colony Control. "Unidentified objects approaching Mars orbit. All personnel to standard observation stations." Doohy's eyes widened. "Are they shooting stars, Dad?" "No, sweetie. These are moving too carefully to be meteors." Hejin's heart raced as he watched the objects slow down and enter a perfect orbital pattern around Mars. 20 years of space exploration had taught humanity many things, but this was different. The colony's main screen lit up with an image that made history. Sleek vessels of silver and blue, their designs unlike anything human minds had conceived. They moved with impossible grace, as if gravity was merely a suggestion rather than a law. "Citizens of Mars Colony 1, the colony's AI announced, its voice calm and clear. We are receiving transmissions from the approaching vessels. They are broadcasting in multiple frequencies, including basic mathematical sequences suggesting peaceful intent." Doohy tugged at her father's sleeve. "Dad, are they aliens? Real aliens?" Hejin nodded, unable to find words. Humanity had hoped, theorized, and searched for so long. Now, on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon on Mars, everything would change. The largest ship, shaped like a teardrop of liquid metal, took position directly above Colony 1. Its surface rippled with patterns of light that reminded Hejin of the auroras on Earth. "This is First Speaker Kex of the Galactic Council," a voice echoed through the colony speakers. The translation AI worked smoothly, converting the alien frequencies into clear English. "We come in peace to welcome humanity to the greater community of spacefaring civilizations." The colony erupted in excitement. Scientists hugged each other, some crying with joy. Children pressed against windows, pointing and shouting. Hejin held Doohy's hand tightly, his scientific mind already racing with questions. "Dad," Doohy whispered, "can I show them my garden? The one Mom helped me plant before she went back to Earth." Hejin looked down at his daughter's hopeful face. The small garden was Doohy's pride, a mix of Earth flowers and Martian-adapted plants that Jinna had helped her start before returning to her military post on Earth. "Let's wait and see, sweetie. They might be interested in how we're growing things here." Above them, more ships emerged from the darkness of space, their hulls shimmering with that same strange, rippling light. The Galactic Council had arrived, and with them, humanity's greatest dream of not being alone in the universe. But as Hejin watched the ships descend, a small worry nagged at him. He'd spent his life studying patterns, and something about the vessel's formation seemed more military than diplomatic. He pushed the thought aside, focusing instead on Doohy's excited chatter about showing aliens her Earth-Mars garden. If only he had trusted his instincts more that day. If only he had known that humanity's first step into the galactic community would be marked not by peace, but by an act that would make the cosmos tremble in fear of Earth's revenge. The Aldari delegation arrived at Colony 1 3 days after first contact. They were tall beings with skin that glowed like moonlight on water. First Speaker Kex led them, his translucent robes floating as if gravity didn't quite apply to him. Hejin guided them through the colony's main sections, explaining their life support systems. Doohy followed the group, staying close to her father, but unable to hide her excitement. The aliens fascinated her, especially the way their skin changed colors when they talked. "Your atmospheric processing is primitive," Kex said, his skin rippling with patterns that the translation AI interpreted as mild amusement. "Though impressive for your species' level of development." Hajin noticed how the other Aldari kept looking at the human children in the colony. Their expressions were hard to read, but something about their gaze made him uncomfortable. Still, he continued the tour professionally. "This is our hydroponics section," Hajin said, leading them into Doohy's favorite part of the colony. "We grow our food here, and the plants help clean our air." Doohy couldn't contain herself anymore. "Mr. Kex, would you like to see my garden? I grew earth flowers here on Mars." The first speaker turned, his skin darkening to a deep blue. The other Aldari stepped back, their bodies tensing. Hajin reached for his daughter, but she was already running to her small garden plot. "Look," Doohy pointed proudly at her flowers. "Mom says they're the first roses to grow on Mars." Kex's skin suddenly flashed red. "You dare to address me directly?" His voice carried a tone that the translation I struggled to convey. "Your species needs to learn its place." Everything happened in seconds. Kex's skin erupted in a burst of light. Hajin lunged forward, but he was too far. A cloud of glowing spores filled the air around Doohy. She didn't even have time to scream. Doohy's small body crumpled to the ground, her hand still reaching toward her roses. "No." Hajin's cry echoed through the hydroponics bay. He ran to his daughter, cradling her lifeless body. Her skin was already cold, marked with patterns that looked like starlight. The other Aldari moved to restrain Kex, but the first speaker showed no remorse. The child showed disrespect. "In the galactic community, there are protocols. You humans must learn them." Colony security arrived, their weapons drawn. The Aldari raised their hands in what seemed like surrender, but their skin pulsed with colors that suggested something else. Contempt. "By galactic law," Kex announced, his voice formal, "we offer compensation for this regrettable incident. 20 units of rare minerals should suffice for the loss of one immature human." Hajin couldn't process the words. He held Doohy's body closer, his tears falling on her peaceful face. The roses she had tended so carefully swayed in the artificial breeze, unaware that their young gardener would never water them again. In orbit above Mars, the Aldari ships remained in formation, their weapons still powered down. They had no reason to be concerned. After all, humanity was just another primitive species learning its place in the galaxy. They didn't know that at that very moment on Earth, Jinnah was receiving the news of her daughter's death. They didn't know that humanity's response would rewrite the laws of the galaxy. They didn't know that killing one human child would make the entire universe learn to fear Earth. Jinnah stood in Earth's military command center, her hand shaking as she read the message again. The screen showed the same words no matter how many times she looked. "Incident at Mars Colony 1. Civilian casualty. Victim, Doo-hee Kim, age 8. She pressed the button to play the security footage. She had to know. She had to see. The video showed everything. Her daughter's innocent excitement. The alien's cruel response. The glowing spores. Doo-hee falling. Hajin's desperate rush to catch her. "Ma'am." A young officer approached carefully. "Admiral Taeyong wishes to speak with you." Jinnah nodded, her military training keeping her standing even as her world collapsed. On the screen, Admiral Taeyong's face showed a rage she had never seen before. "Jinnah," he said softly, "we found something." "The Aldari, this isn't the first time." Her eyes snapped up. "What?" "Our intelligence team cracked part of their database. There are records of similar incidents with other new species. They call it teaching primitive races their place." The Admiral's voice was cold. "They offer the same compensation every time. 20 units of minerals. Jin's voice joined the call from Mars. His face was streaked with tears, but his eyes burned with purpose. Jinna, I accessed their medical database. They knew the spores would kill her. They've studied human biology for months before making contact. Jinnah felt something change inside her. The grief was still there, but now it had a sharp edge. How many? She asked. How many other children? 17 documented cases in the last 100 galactic cycles, the Admiral replied. All of them dismissed as regrettable incidents by the Galactic Council. Jin spoke again, his voice stronger now. They think we're like the others. That we'll accept their compensation and learn to be quiet and obedient. Jinnah looked at the last photo of Dewey, taken just days before. Her daughter was smiling, holding up a Mars rose she had grown. Send me everything, she said. Every detail about their biology that you observed. Every weakness you noticed. Already done, Jin replied. I've been documenting everything since they arrived. Their skin patterns, their reactions to our atmosphere, their physical limitations. They're not as superior as they think. Admiral Tai Young leaned forward. Jinnah, I need to show you something. Remember the Deep Space Defense Project you helped design? We didn't stop building after first contact. We have ships, weapons they don't know about. How many ships? Jinnah's military mind was already working, planning. Enough to make them regret ever hearing the name Earth. The Admiral's face was grim. We just need a strategy. Jinnah looked at the footage one last time. Dewey's small body lying among her beloved flowers. The Aldari's dismissive offer of compensation. Their assumption that humanity would simply accept the loss of a child. They need to learn, she said, her voice steady now. Not just the Aldari. The entire galaxy needs to learn what happens when you kill a human child. In orbit around Mars, the Aldari ships maintained their positions, their crews confident in their superiority. They had no way of knowing that in underground bases across Earth, humanity's hidden fleet was preparing for launch. They didn't realize that their act of casual cruelty had just started a chain of events that would reshape the galaxy. Admiral Tai Young stood in Earth's secret underground base, watching as workers removed the camouflage from hundreds of ships. These vessels weren't the simple exploration craft that Earth had shown to the galaxy. They were warships, built in silence and hidden from alien eyes. Status report, he ordered, his voice echoing through the massive cave. All ships ready, sir, Commander Yusung replied. Quantum weapons are loaded. Shields are at full power. The fleet can launch in 2 hours. The Admiral nodded, remembering the day they started this project. Many had called him paranoid for wanting to build weapons while seeking peaceful contact. Now, those same people demanded action. A screen lit up with a transmission from the Galactic Council. Their spokesman, a tall Aldari with silver-white skin, spoke with practiced calm. We understand Earth's emotional response to the incident, but please remember your place. The compensation offered is more than fair by galactic standards. Tai Young didn't respond. Instead, he watched another screen showing Jinnah working with the fleet's technical team. They were loading targeting data based on Jin's research about Aldari weaknesses. Their ships have a blind spot near their power cores, Jinnah explained to the pilots. Their shields are strongest at the front, but weaker at specific points that match their biology. They're overconfident. They don't guard these spots well. In orbit around Mars, the Aldari ships hadn't moved. Why should they? To them, Earth was just another primitive world learning hard lessons about galactic politics. Sir, a young officer called out, we're receiving reports from other species. After we posted the video of Dewey's murder, many are coming forward, sharing stories of their own losses, their own children. Tai Young walked to the main control room. Hundreds of crew members worked at their stations, their faces showing the same cold anger he felt. They had all seen the video. They had all watched an innocent child die for asking about flowers. Commander Yusung, he said, prepare the first strike team. Remember the rules. No children. We're not like them. We protect the innocent. All innocent, even alien children. The commander nodded. Yes, sir. Strike teams are ready. Quantum weapons are calibrated to avoid civilian areas. Jinnah's voice came through the comm system. The targeting data is uploaded. Hey, Jinn sent their latest shield frequencies. They still don't know we can track those. In Mars Colony 1, Hey Jinn sent his final data package to Earth. He looked at Doohie's garden, where the roses still bloomed. The Aldari had tried to clean up the area, to erase what happened. But they couldn't erase the truth. They couldn't erase what they had done. Fleet is in launch position, Commander Yusung reported. Awaiting your order, Admiral. Tai Young looked at the galaxy map. Thousands of stars, thousands of worlds. After today, they would all learn a lesson. Not about humanity's place in the galaxy, but about the price of harming the human child. Launch the fleet, he ordered. Show them why Earth should have been feared, not dismissed. The cave ceiling split open. Hundreds of ships rose into the night sky, their quantum drives glowing with power the Aldari thought impossible for primitive humans to master. Earth's vengeance was about to begin. Jinnah sat in the war room, surrounded by holographic displays showing every detail of the Aldari ships. Her eyes were tired, but she couldn't rest. Not while Doohie's killers still lived. Operation Ghost Child, she said, pointing to the main display. That's what we're calling it. Because they thought they could make her disappear, make her death mean nothing. Commander Yusung studied the attack plan. The quantum weapons are ready. They've never seen anything like them. Their shields are designed to stop energy and physical attacks, but our weapons slip between states of matter. Heijin's face appeared on a screen. Despite his grief, he had worked nonstop, analyzing every bit of data about the Aldari. Their bodies react badly to sudden quantum shifts. When I showed them our basic quantum experiments, their skin patterns changed to show distress. They tried to hide it, but I saw. Good work, Jinnah said softly. Her husband had turned his pain into purpose, just as she had. What else? Their ships match their biology, Hejin explained. The shield patterns pulse like their skin. They're weakest when they change colors, and they always change colors before they attack. They can't help it. It's built into their species. Admiral Tai Yun walked in, holding new reports. The Galactic Council is calling an emergency session. They're worried about our silence. No species has ever refused their compensation before. They think we're planning something primitive, Commander Yusung said. Their scans are looking for chemical rockets, nuclear weapons, things they know how to stop. Jinnah pointed to a specific part of the Aldari flagship's design. Their power core connects directly to their shield generators. One quantum pulse, timed right. She didn't need to finish. Everyone understood. The strike teams are special, Commander Yusung added. Every pilot, every gunner, they're all parents. They all volunteered after seeing Doohie's video. They understand what this means. Heijin's voice shook slightly. The roses in her garden started dying today, like they know she's gone. He steadied himself. The Aldari captain visits them every day, studying them. Same time, same pattern. He's predictable. That's our window, Jinnah said. The displays showed the attack formation she had designed. Small ships would slip through their blind spots while they focused on the larger threats. When their shields pulse, when they think they're strongest, that's when they're weakest. Admiral Tai Young looked at the battle plan. It wasn't just about revenge. It was about showing the galaxy that humanity would not be dismissed, would not be controlled, would not stand by while their children were killed. 24 hours, he announced. We strike in 24 hours. Let them call their emergency session. Let them make their plans. They'll learn that humanity's love for our children is matched only by our fury when they're harmed. In orbit around Mars, the Aldari ships continued their patrol, their crews confident in their superior technology. They never noticed the quantum distortions building around Earth's hidden fleet, growing stronger with each passing second. Earth's fleet moved in perfect silence. Their quantum drives left no trace as they approached Mars. Commander Yusung watched from the lid ship as the Aldari continued their usual patrol, blind to humanity's approach. All ships in position. His tactical officer whispered, as if the enemy might hear through space. Quantum weapons charge, waiting for the shield pulse. The Aldari flagship's shields rippled with color, just as Hejin had predicted. Their regular shield maintenance cycle had begun, and with it, their moment of weakness. Now, Yusung ordered. The first quantum pulse hit the Aldari flagship exactly where its shields shifted color. There was no explosion, no dramatic flash. Instead, the quantum weapon simply ignored the space between here and there, appearing inside the shield as if it had always been there. The Aldari ships erupted in patterns of confused color. Their sensors had shown nothing, yet their flagship's shields were failing from the inside. Second wave, execute, Yusung commanded. More ships appeared from quantum space, their weapons already firing. Each shot passed through the Aldari defenses like they didn't exist. Inside the Aldari flagship, First Speaker Kex watched in horror as his superior technology failed. Impossible, he shouted, his skin flashing colors of fear. They are primitives. They cannot have this technology. The human fleet surrounded the Aldari ships in a pattern that Jinnah had designed. It wasn't just tactical, it was artistic. From above, the formation looked like a child's hand reaching out. Hold fire, Yusung ordered as the Aldari ships began to power down, defeated. Remember the mission. No children. Earth ships transmitted pictures of Duhi to every screen on every Aldari vessel. Her smile, her love for flowers, her innocent question about their glowing skin. All of it played on endless loop. This is Commander Yusung of Earth. His message broadcast on all frequencies. You thought you could kill our children and buy our silence with rocks. You were wrong. The Aldari ships hung powerless in space, their crews watching in shock as human vessels demonstrated technology that should have been impossible. Their shields, their pride, their superiority, all meant nothing. Your children are safe, Yusung continued. We are not like you. We protect the innocent. All innocent, but you will face justice for Dewey, and you will tell the galaxy what happens when you harm a human child. The quantum weapons had done more than defeat the Aldari. They had shattered the galaxy's assumptions about humanity. No longer were they primitives learning their place. They were the nightmare that even advanced civilizations had learned to fear. As Yusung looked at the disabled Aldari fleet, he opened a channel to Earth. Admiral, Phase 1 is complete. Operation Ghost Child is ready for Phase 2. The broadcast began playing on every screen across the galaxy. First came Duhi's smile as she tended her Mars roses. Then the moment of her death. The Aldari's casual cruelty. A father's desperate rush to save his child. The offer of 20 units of minerals for a daughter's life. Jinnah's voice narrated the transmission. This is how the Galactic Council treats new species. This is what they call teaching us our place. The broadcast shifted to other footage. Evidence Hejin had found in the Aldari databases. 17 other children from different species, all killed for similar small offenses, all paid for with the same 20 units of minerals. Watch, Jinnah's voice commanded. Watch what happened when they killed one human child. The video showed Earth's quantum fleet emerging from nowhere. The Aldari shields failing. Their mighty ships powerless. The most advanced civilization in the galaxy, defeated by the humans they had dismissed as primitives. We found your secret files, Jinnah continued. We know about every child you've killed, every species you've broken, every civilization you've forced into submission. But humanity will not submit. In the Galactic Council chamber, representatives from 100 species watched in stunned silence. Many had lost children to Aldari lessons. All had accepted the minerals, believing they had no choice. The video showed Commander Yusung's fleet surrounding the Aldari ships, but refusing to fire on areas with children. "See the difference?" Jin A's voice explained. "We can destroy you, but we choose to protect the innocent. All innocent. Even yours." Jin appeared on screen next, standing in Doohee's garden. "My daughter loved these roses. She wanted to show them to you, to share Earth's beauty with the galaxy. You killed her for it." Across thousands of worlds, billions of beings watched. Parents held their children closer. Species that had lived in fear for centuries saw hope in humanity's strength. "This is humanity's message," Jinnah declared. "Kill our children, and no power in the galaxy will save you. We are not primitives to be taught our place. We are not species to be broken. We are humanity, and we protect our own." In the council chamber, representatives from 17 species stood up. Their voices joined together, demanding justice not just for Doohee, but for all the children lost to Aldari cruelty. The broadcast ended with a final image. Doohee's Mars roses, still blooming despite everything. Below them, a simple message appeared in every known language: "Never again." Jinnah watched from Earth as the broadcast finished. Reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Species rising up. The Aldari losing control. A new order beginning. 1 year after Doohee's death, the galaxy had changed. The Great Hall of the new Galactic Council looked nothing like its predecessor. Gone were the towering thrones that had placed the Aldari above others. Now all species sat as equals. Jin stood at the podium, addressing representatives from 1,000 worlds. Behind him, a garden of Mars roses bloomed, cuttings from Doohee's original plants, now growing on every human colony. "The Doohee Foundation opens today," he announced, his voice steady. "Its mission is simple: to ensure first contact between species never again ends in tragedy, to protect all children, from all worlds." In the audience, Jinnah sat beside Admiral Taiyang. Her military uniform now bore the symbol of the Foundation, a small rose with quantum patterns in its petals. Earth's fleet had grown, but now it served as guardians rather than warriors. "Every species joining the galactic community will have protection," Heijin continued. "No more teaching their place. No more casual cruelty. No more children lost to arrogance." The Aldari representatives sat in their new seats, equal to all others. Their skin patterns showed shame as Heijin spoke. They had learned their lesson, not through violence, but through humanity's choice to protect rather than destroy. Commander Yusung's voice came through the communication system. "Quantum shield network active. All developing civilizations now under protection. Any aggressive action against them will be met with immediate response." Jinnah touched the small holo pendant she wore. It showed Doohee laughing in her garden. The entire galaxy now knew her daughter's face, her story, her love for growing things in impossible places. "We found 18 more species," Heijin said, his voice growing stronger. 18 civilizations the old council had marked for education. They're under our protection now. Their children will grow up free from fear. The hall erupted in agreement. Species that had once feared the Aldari now stood tall. Parents who had lost children found justice at last. And humanity, once dismissed as primitives, had become the force that reshaped galactic society. "Let the galaxy remember," Heijin concluded. "It wasn't our weapons that changed everything. It wasn't our technology. It was a little girl who wanted to share her flowers. A child whose death taught the cosmos that humanity's greatest strength isn't our power to destroy. It's our drive to protect." As he finished speaking, the quantum network activated. Across the galaxy, shields of shimmering energy appeared over young civilizations' worlds. Each shield bore the same pattern. The quantum signature of a Mars rose in full bloom. High above Earth, Jinnah watched from the observation deck as new species arrived to join the council. Each ship carried their own stories, their own hopes. But they all knew one thing: humanity had turned a father's grief and a mother's rage into protection for all. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Never again would a child die for asking about flowers. Never again would parents be offered minerals for their children's lives. The stars themselves would remember. You don't kill human children. Not if you want the universe to survive.